You guys all ready? All right, what happened to my agenda? Oh, shoot, I lose my agenda. Oh, here it is. Okay, I guess we will reconvene at 6:04. We don't have any action to report out of closed session. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for coming. We're going to have the pledge, and Dr. Larry Freeze is going to lead us in it, if you would.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance. Thank you.
All right, like I said, welcome, everybody. And we're going to get this going here. At this time, we're going to do some recognition. We have our Golden Apple Volunteer of the Year Awards. I believe that's you, Dr. Merity.
Thank you so much. This is my first time doing our Golden Apple Award, so bear with me. I'm going to try to get this right. So we're going to start off by recognizing those individuals that have been recognized at the school site level for a Golden Apple. And a Golden Apple, now it's not the apple you see in Snow White. Yes, it actually has a completely different, it symbolizes something completely different. In education, the apple symbolizes and acknowledges the impact and importance of adults in the lives of students. And so we are very honored to recognize these individuals through the Antelope Valley chapter of AXA, the California Association of School Administrators, who sponsor the Golden Apple Award for those individuals who've shown exceptional service and support to our students in our district. So I'm going to first call up Amargosa Creek Middle School Principal Rochelle Poulos, and she is going to recognize Evan Murphy.
Ours is Kevin Murphy, and what we have to say about him is, have you ever met the Incredible Hulk in person? Neither have we, but we have met the closest thing to it. I have met Mr. Kevin Murphy and addressed him as the Incredible. You have to understand that's because of the size of his heart and compassion for our staff and students. When we have a school dance, he's there to help with drinks, food, moving equipment, anything we need. He will make sure that the adults are there and helping. And as a dance is a nice cold drink, a plate of food, he's serving our staff. We have basketball, volleyball games. He has been there for every single one of them for years. And then in the front door, greeting families, etc. So we also have an Incredible Hulk for you also.
Oh, hang on.
But wait, there's more. I hope. Can't go anywhere without a certificate, I'm pretty sure. I believe there's an Apple pin on there too.
Okay, so now I'm in trouble. I have to be supervised now. I apologize.
Happens to all of us.
Okay, from Desert View, Evelyn Jimenez. Misty Gale.
It's got some.
So Evelyn Jimenez is our genie. She came out of nowhere, like in the bottle. All of a sudden, she appeared. And for those of you who were here at the last board meeting, she spoke on behalf of PTA, which was the first time since COVID began that we had a PTA able to represent. Evelyn started our PTA at Desert View from zero. We had nobody volunteering, nobody stepping up, and we ended up with a completely full board and the highest number of registrants in the school in our chapter ever. She's an amazing dynamo. We are very fortunate to have her, and I am very pleased and honored to present this Golden Apple Award to you. And thank you, Ms. Jimenez.
Oh, you got my card, don't you?
Oh. Is that the PTA?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, good job.
Is that Desert View PTA? Awesome. Good job. Okay, from Discovery Elementary, Melina Carrillo. And her principal, Leslie Rubacava. Sorry, Jerry.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to recognize and celebrate an amazing Discovery School community member. We would like to introduce you to Mrs. Melina Carrillo. Mrs. Carrillo is a parent of a first grade student at Discovery, Maximiliano Carrillo, and a former Discovery Rocket, Emily Carrillo. Not only is she a mother, but she holds a job, is a fantastic parent volunteer, and is a trending TikTok star. You heard that right, a TikTok star. There's a Spanish proverb that says, haz de cada día tu obra maestra. This translates to, make every day your masterpiece. I share this because Mrs. Carrillo is an example of an individual who makes the best of each and every day and makes everything that she is a part of more beautiful. Melina, muchísimas gracias por todo lo que hace para nuestra comunidad de la Escuela de Discovery y por hacer todo lo que toca mucho más bonito. De parte de los estudiantes, los padres y el personal de la Escuela de Discovery. Mil gracias.
El Dorado, Jennifer Mangler. And her principal, Todd Coleman.
I'd like to recognize this wonderful lady here who I first met 7 years ago. She's had several students walk across our stage who have graduated at our school, and she has been with me every step of the way. Many of you know that we had an incredible volunteer program. We called it PrEP. And that was sort of started by a gentleman who we've always recognized, if you guys all recall, Mike Sisson. And Jennifer Mangler really has followed in his footsteps and sort of what we want to see in our representation from our family and our community outreach. And she has done an honorable job doing that. She comes in, again, very similar to Mike. She's there at the very beginning of the day. She walks in with her children. She signs in and she gets to work. She's worked in kinder. She's worked in several classrooms, especially this year. She's volunteered in many different aspects. We have our source store. She's worked diligently with that. She has worked with our attendance incentives, made an incredible program. We did the Neon Glow, and she was a participant in that. And really, I'm really most grateful for is her work and leadership as our president of our school site council. So today, El Dorado recognizes Jennifer Mangler for all of her hard work. So thank you, Jennifer.
Right. So we have from Fulton and Alsbury, Tiffany Lindy. And Dr. Gladfelter.
Name came up and her teachers wrote, teachers of her daughter wrote, Tiffany's been such a tremendous support to us this year. She volunteers to come in and help out. She made our Polar Express Day special. If we sent home an email asking for supplies, she's the first one to donate anything we need. She goes above and beyond to make us feel appreciated. She's always sending us thoughtful gifts for us and the entire staff. If she cannot make it to a field trip or to help with a party or event, then she sends a family member to help in her place. She nominated us and got us selected to receive a free Subway lunch. Delicious, thank you. And she's the most involved and dedicated parent. Mrs. Reynolds from the robotics team also talked about how tireless she is in fundraising and helped to fundraise over $2,000 for the team, and transporting equipment has just made a big impact. So we're very appreciative to Tiffany Lindy.
From Jack Northrop Elementary, Sarah Duran.
To recognize Mrs. Duran. Jack Northrop Elementary is blessed to have her. We are privileged enough where she sacrifices her time every morning in our office to help us with our morning routines to get our students into class. She's an active member in our SSC, helps out with PTO. She created an idea that became a saving grace for our school, a valet system. It was an idea of hers that has grown wings, and now we have volunteers that help because we had a serious parking issue, and it was her birth baby. And she always suggests things. She's active. She comes in. She's part of our staff unofficially because she's always there to help, and I'm grateful.
Hey, Joshua Elementary, Nacy Kastner and her principal, David Denny? No, am I wrong? I'm Joshua, sorry. Lorraine Zapata, sorry. Sorry. I knew that.
Tell you a little story about how I met Nacy. We had a pit bull that came in front of our school, and I was going to call animal control, and Nacy says, "No, stop. I know this dog. I know where to take it." So I hopped in her car and I went with her, and then we didn't find where to take the dog, but she came back and she talked to the owner, and we found the owner. And from there, we forged a friendship. And when I needed somebody to come for school site council, she said, what is that? What does it mean? What do I have to do?" She embraced it. She has learned about our school. She has implemented and talked to our community, to her friends, and helps us get better to meet our parents' needs as well. One thing I'd like to say about her is that she now holds office in PTSA. And that is because she didn't want this duty. She said, "No, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to take notes." And the ladies went after her and said, "No, we really need you to take notes." When I think about people that make a difference in our school community and that serve from the heart and serve for love, Nacy comes to mind because she truly loves our school, our students, our parents, and she does whatever it takes to make sure that we get what we need. And she's a mom. Absolutely. So thank you, Nacy. We love you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Okay, so here we go. Linda Verde Elementary, Adriana Rodriguez, and I believe Mrs. Rubicava will be.
It's a great honor for me to speak on behalf of the Linda Verde staff. Adriana has been an integral part of the forward movement of Linda Verde. Her leadership as a parent has been instrumental in guiding the support Linda Verde receives from the parents. She is the president of the parent-teacher organization and a member of the school site council. I know Adriana to be a strong parent that has persevered even through the pandemic as she was trying to keep our parents engaged. And with her passion to assist the school community, she has brought to the school fun activities and fundraisers to enhance the school experience, not only for our children, but for our staff and our community as a whole. Thank you, Adriana, for everything you do. We appreciate your hard work.
Okay. Mariposa Computer Science Magnet, Esperanza Moreno Mendez, and Mr. Ercol.
All right, so Mariposa Computer Science Magnet School wanted to recognize Esperanza. She does so many things at our school. We have a lot of different volunteers. We have about 7 or 8 of them. And when our family ambassador was going around trying to figure out which one that we were going to honor, your name kept coming up. And so she volunteers on our Monarch Market, so she helps the students who are getting their PBS rewards. She's always volunteering in the kinder area. You're helping right now with the book fair, getting that set up. You help with our super tickets, with our popcorn parties, and with everything. So every time I turn around, you're there, and that's a good thing. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Miller Elementary, Sarah Ibis, and her principal, Erie Robertson.
Good evening. Miller Golden Apple recipient for the 22-23 school year would award this to Miss Sarah Ibis. Miss Ibis began as a parent volunteer in the 5th grade classroom for her son. Sorry, I need to bring this closer because I cannot see. I need my other glasses. Okay. Right from the start, Miss Ibis came willing and able to take on any task set before her. She has taken initiative not only to learn student names, but also to learn about each student's educational needs and help them create and strive and obtain their personal goals. Ms. Ibis regularly takes small groups aside to provide small group intervention and to help fill in any gaps that they may have. The class values and respects Mrs. Ibis because right from the start, at the beginning, she has shown that she really cares about the students and their success. Students site-wide look up to Mrs. Ibis. She has been an excellent role model to have in our classrooms and on our site. Mrs. Ibis' consistent presence and extra help has been gold to Miller Elementary School and amongst the plethora of other reasons why she deserves this special award. Miller Elementary and I thank you, Mrs. Ibis, for everything that you do.
Okay, Monte Vista Elementary, Mariela Plasencia, and her principal, Janice Forte.
Volunteer at our school. We know that we're going to have them for quite a few years. And so when we call her our family ambassador, she's always calling, asking for parents to help out with our Mustang Gold store. That's our PBS store. We've had several fundraisers this year. And just anytime we need parents helping out, she is the first to come, and she's here every time. And so we really appreciate her. We're excited to have her as part of our family, and we're even more excited. We love her so much that we just hired her. She just started on Friday, so she's really going to be with us forever, and she's just a great part of our family. We're happy to have her join us.
Okay, now it's Nancy Corey time. Okay, from Nancy Corey, Javier Acosta and his Principal, Mr. Denning.
All right. Mr. Acosta is super dad. He is at the school very, very often. Every time I turn around, he's there, volunteering in the classroom, reading to the students, helping students with their SIPs and things in the hallway. He's helps out with the PTO, goes to all the events that we have, field trips, gone on the field trips with his daughter. And you should see the lunches that he makes for her every day. It's like a chef made them. They're beautiful. So we just wanted to say how much we appreciate Mr. Acosta. It's just so refreshing when you have a father that has the ability and opportunity and willingness to spend time at the school and help out. So thank you so much, Mr. Acosta. Absolutely, Mr. Acosta wants me to recognize his wife that enables him to be there. And also, thank you. She's on our site council too. So she does so much. The whole family does so much for our school. It's amazing. So thank you, Mr. Acosta.
And for Paiute Middle School, Janita Ostel and her principal, Ms. Porter.
I'd like to introduce our parent volunteer, Miss Janita Ostel, and she endearingly refers to herself as Super Grandma, and she has a shirt to prove it. At our school site council meeting, she wears her shirt so that everyone knows that she is super. She is a grandma of a number of students in the district. However, she wanted to support our students at Paiute and her grandson at Paiute. One of her quotes, what she said to me is that her work at Paiute shows others that it takes a village. And so she really enjoys being at Paiute and being a part of the vision at Paiute. So we are very thankful for Ms. Ostel, and we look forward to future work. I think her grandson's in 7th grade. So next year, I'm seeing PTO on the horizon. Thank you so much.
And from West Wind, computer science magnet, Sharon Navarez. And her principal, Mrs. White.
Good evening. It's our pleasure to welcome Sharon here as our Golden Apple winner at Westwind. I spoke with the teacher that her daughter has as her I spoke to Mr. Baldus, her daughter's teacher, and he shared that he is grateful for everything that she has done for his students. She is often seen working in the hallway with different groups of children. They ask for her often, and there's a smile on their face each and every time she comes into the school. We did miss her for a few weeks because she was helping out at Amargosa Middle School. Amargosa Middle School. And so Mr. Baldus shared with me that many of the students asked where she was she coming back? And when she did arrive, they were excited to see her. So we are thankful for everything that she does for us at school, and we are looking forward to having her for many years to come. Thank you.
So I want to congratulate all of our recipients this evening, and I do want to call out the name of the person who will be our overall district level. So these are the site level. So this will be they're all winners, but we have to have one. So from Amargosa Creek Middle School, Kevin Murphy. Congratulations to everybody.
You want to announce they're going to have a little, we can have a little reception.
There are refreshments in the back, so if anybody.
That's for
would
you
like-
guys. They're
For our, yeah.
our recipients, okay. Should we take a quick break or you want to keep moving? Let's take a quick break to help recognize our Golden Apple recipients. Then we'll come back with our enrollment report. Exciting news. I built you up, Rebecca, so you know. All right, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning for the board members. Everybody else can carry on. Got a cookie? That's not a bad day then. All right. All right, I guess we'll get this party restarted. Okay, at this time, we're going to have item 10, informational items, enrollment report. Rebecca Cooksey.
Good evening, board. As of today, in TK through 8th grade, we have 14,070 students. In ECE, we have 732, for a grand total of 14,802 students. That's a loss of 3 from our last board report and a loss of 49 from the same time last year. We have 1,041 homeless students. We have 496 foster students. And the good news is, so far next year, we have 3,551 kids who have completed their registration packets already. So that's great.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Do we have any other informational items?
No.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to our presentations, requests, proposals, reports, and we'll have our DLAC update with our board-
Nayeli Chacon.
Yes. I have always have a hard time. I just point wherever she is. There she is. Thank you.
Good evening. Cabinet. My name is Nayeli Chacon. I am the coordinator of the Multilingual Learner Program. I'm reporting on the work we've accomplished with our DLAC families and in the program. Although we have a diversity of multilingual learners in the district, this report specifically refers to students that are officially classified as English learners and their families. DLAC is our District English Learner Advisory Committee, and its purpose is to engage parents in the community in working with the district to find solutions to improve the education and services for English learners. As such, we also evaluate its effectiveness in serving this purpose periodically. I'll be sharing the results of the last evaluation as well. Some highlights of the year. We reviewed 3 big compliance items to include in the master plan. These are not only required by the state, these drive how we collect, process, and provide information to all stakeholders. Another big highlight was having both our DLAC president and secretary participating in the FPM review interviews and affirming the work and commitment to our students. We also reviewed the LCAP goals, looked at achievement data, and parents had the opportunity to discuss and provide input for new or modified actions for English learners. And we designed the survey that we use to evaluate the effectiveness of the advisory committees. We sent the survey to all DLAC and ELAC families from each site, and we summarized the results for you. Are we effective in providing relevant information? There's room for growth. More than 50% of families surveyed are unaware of what ELD services and programs are offered, including ELD instruction, curriculum, and the right to opt out of any of these services. When asked to provide an open response on how we can improve our committees, the main themes were to provide more information to parents and to provide parent workshops on how to support their children at home. Two commonly identified strengths, however, were a perceived increased focus on English learners and having bilingual personnel. Are we effective in engaging families? We can do better. The top two reasons that parents indicated as being the biggest barriers in participating in school activities and meetings are language and time. Parents also indicated that they would be more likely to attend school activities that are meaningful to them. From a list of topics, the most selected were adult education and parent workshops on how to help students at home and how to prepare them for state test. They suggested that we provide workshops in Spanish at more flexible times and that we provide frequent meetings about student academic progress. They recognize the strengths that we ask for parent input to make improvements and that we try our best to keep students safe. Are we effective in communicating with parents? We're pretty good. Between 60 to 80% of families surveyed said that our current communication methods work. 62% of parents prefer a personal or automated phone call. And of those that use social media, 81% prefer Facebook. Most parents said that they understand homework expectations, attendance policies, and progress reports. Having bilingual personnel was again identified as a strength, and a few parents indicated a preference for a printed flyer to be sent home with their children. We can definitely improve our committees, but overall, this should be an easier and faster task. The real work, however, where we need to commit to place our resources, time, and effort is in the actual services we provide to our English learners. Some highlights of the program. This year, we completed 360 initial, 30 alternate, and 2,000 summative assessments. That's about 2,300 hours of one-on-one assessments. Last year, we had a participation rate of 99.3%. This year, we are hoping to get even closer to 100%. Collaboration was also a big highlight this year. CIA assessments and continuous improvement worked hand in hand to transition the program into its new home in CIA. Last year, we reclassified 107 students. This year, we reclassified 181 students. That's a 41% increase. We also completed a full revision of the master plan for my multilingual learners, and we were found compliant in all 15 items of the FPM EL instrument. We had no findings. This is our enrollment data according to DataQuest. This is the 22-23 district enrollment by English language acquisition status to represent the diversity of our multilingual students, and all the data that I'll be showing will be presented in this manner as well. The two blue pieces are English proficient students at the time of enrollment. The darker blue are our English only students, and the lighter blue are students who are proficient in English and in at least one other language. The two yellow pieces are our current and former English learners at the time of enrollment. The lighter yellow are our students who are proficient in their home language and have acquired proficiency in English. The darker yellow are our students that are proficient in their home language, but are not yet proficient in English, officially known as English learners. These are English learner percentages across the years. They have been pretty consistent and they mirror the state's pattern. We had a slight drop during distance learning, but we picked right up the following year. This is our assessment data. This is the 21-22 district LP level. The LP is the English Learner Progress Indicator, and it's one of the 6 state indicators on the California dashboard that are used to identify schools for CSI. We are at 39.30%, which is 11% below the state. We would need to grow at least 6% to make it to the next level this year. The LP level is calculated using the LPAC scores. It takes into account not only proficiency, but progress towards proficiency as well. They divide the number of students who advance at least one level and those who remain at level 4 by the total number of English learners. These are 2022 summative LPAC results, which measure proficiency. We have 8% of our students at level 4 and about 70% between levels 2 and 3. These are our 2022 English language acquisition results, which measure progress towards proficiency. Only 41% of our students advanced at least one level or remained at level 4. And a big chunk, 24%, actually decreased one level. We do not get penalized for it, but it should not be happening. These are 2022 CASP results for language arts and math. The bars represent the percentage of students that met or exceeded the standard. ELA is blue, math is yellow, and the grays are the states. Our ELs, unfortunately, are lowest achieving group. Then surprisingly, our English-only students and our reclassified students and our IFEPs are doing at least twice as well. And it's pretty much the same pattern across the state. These are mid-year iReady diagnostic results from December 2022. We can see the same pattern, EL, EO, IFEP, and RFEP. But we do see a slight growth in all groups. Hopefully, we'll see this reflected in our state scores this year. So there is a lot of work to be done for our English learners and our English-only students as well. However, ELs are a targeted student group that has been identified in 9 ATSI schools. And it's also the student group that, as the data shows, once they reach proficiency and are reclassified, they will bring our CAS scores up. So what's happening next year? The program is getting a new coordinator. That's always exciting. We are also preparing for the summer administration of the initial LPAC for our kindergartners. We're working on our standards-based ELD report card, professional development, and of course, how to better engage our families. And this concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Thank you. The list of reclassification. How many students did we have this year?
Reclassifying?
Yes.
181 as of the time that I put together the presentation. And we actually have received our LPAC scores for this year's administration. So based on those, so far, we have added 22 students to that list.
So over 200?
Yes.
Very good.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate you bringing it in for us. Thank you. Okay, looks like Dr. Goines is making his way down to give us an LCAP update.
So first of all, I want to thank you guys and thank everybody here for the opportunity to be able to give this report on our update for our local control and accountability plan. The benefit to having followed Ms. Chacon is the fact that that was one of the big pieces of data that we would have to discuss, which provides us puts us in a position where we can work on some other pieces of data, but be able to understand that we're really focusing more on what the next steps are in terms of Lancaster School District and the local control and accountability plans. So to start us off, the purpose of this particular meeting is going to be, or this particular discussion is going to be to provide the board and community with current understanding of where we are in terms of the LCAP moving into 2023-24. I can't even believe it's 23-24, but we're moving into that particular school year. And also to provide an update on the work that has been done in the 22-23 school year so that there's a strong understanding of where we've come from so that we can start discussing where we're going. So I want to make sure that we all remember that this is what the LCAP looks like currently. There are 5 main goals that we sit with the LCAP: academics. That's our options and excellence piece that we keep on discussing, giving our students the options to be able to be successful in school. Not the options to be successful in school, but the options allowable to keep them engaged in school. Equitable learning practices and positive learning environments, universal transitional kindergarten, safe and supportive environments, and family community engagement. All of which, if we feel from our last year's LCAP, we felt that was going to be what was going to put us in a position to be successful moving into this school year. So I'm going to jump into a little bit of a needs analysis. So an overview of the needs analysis, just so that there's a strong understanding of what we're going to be talking about tonight. There's going to be some qualitative data that we have provided for, along with quantitative data. Luckily, the last board meeting, or 2 board meetings ago, I was able to provide you all with an overview of what our Youth Truth data had actually said. I'm not going to go over that as deeply as I would if I hadn't already provided that update to you, but you should understand that in many of our scores, we're looking at some declines in terms of perception, and we want to make sure that that's addressed moving into 23-24. You're going to see a summary of overall engagement with educational partners. So you're going to see a little bit of what we've done currently, where we're at currently with our work with many of our educational partners throughout the city and throughout the community. You're going to see a little bit of Youth Truth data, assessment data based on the local control and accountability plan goals. That's our CASP scores, our iReady scores, English, some of our English learner data. However, you've already seen our English learner data, so I'm not going to go over that too deeply. And we've already talked about iReady and our CASP scores over some time, so we're good there as well. We are going to discuss a little bit of attendance data, chronic absenteeism data, because those are very important data points for us to be able to have an understanding of, and behavior data as well. So an overview of stakeholder engagement. I want to jump into this and show you the amount of work that's been done thus far this school year. You're going to see that we've actually worked towards engaging families on a continuous basis, have been in front of, had a couple of different meetings. Specifically, the last couple of weeks, we've been sitting at various schools, meeting with families to make sure that they're have the opportunity to be able to provide their voice and then get there and get engagement up in terms of our LCAP and our strategic plan as well. We've done some work with our staff and our class, both classified and certificated. You're going to see some work with our CSEA board, as well as our TAL board, that we've actually sat in front of and had some conversation, as well as a Youth Truth survey that we sent out to all of our families, to all of our students, or to our students from grades 3 through 8, as well as our staff throughout the district. And finally, we've got students. We've actually done a lot of work with students this year, specifically with an ASB event. We started with an ASB event that Dr. Marietti actually sponsored from the beginning of the year. We're able to really meet with all of our ASB students, but we didn't stop there. We actually did focus groups at many of our elementary school sites on various dates, and we still have some dates more to be able to make sure we're providing some that feedback loop to our students to make sure that they feel that they know that they were a part of this, that they're a part of this conversation, the most important part of this conversation. We've also already met with our special education local plan area, our SELPA, to be able to go over what the current LCAP looks like and what the next steps are looking like in the LCAP, into ensuring that our students with disabilities are involved in or have a strong presence within our LCAP. So some themes from our educational partners I just wanted to highlight. I'm not going to say every one of these things, but I did want to highlight a couple of these. There's a need for an accountability at the site level in the implementation of programs. And I would say that would hold true for the district as well, to make sure that we are we're doing what we're saying we're doing, and making sure that that's being done with fidelity, and we're doing the best that we can in those areas. Also wanted to focus on that whole area of social emotional learning and health. That's another area that we consistently see that we need to maintain a presence in, and make sure that we're consistently working hard to make sure that our kids have the ability to have access to various areas of social emotional health. And you'll see that in terms of the LCAP that we've had from moving from 22-23, moving into 23-24, where we were working, there's a strong presence of counselors as well as other mental health supporters throughout that plan. And then another piece with that is helping students find their voice. I think that's really important. That's probably one of the nearest and dearest to my heart. Many of the educators in this room know that that's one of the things that I hold near and dear to my heart. We need to make sure that our kids have a say in their education, but that they, in the end, that they also have the opportunity to have their perspectives heard. I think that's one of the things that is significant, all the way from kindergarten all the way through our 8th graders in this district. So I'm gonna go over a little bit of data. You're gonna see a little bit of I guess a pattern that you're going to see here is going to be consistent. It's going to look like the LCAP data that we've got. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not spending a lot of time on the LCAP data. I'm going to spend most of the time on what are we doing about the LCAP data, where we're at currently. Everything that we're going to talk about right now and everything you're going to see right now is going to be based upon mid-year results. So this is not the end of the year pieces. So you're not going to see the items that you're going to see at the beginning of next year, but you're going to see some of the pieces that where we're currently at the time that we put this together. So a couple pieces I wanted to highlight here. Obviously, CASP is not going to be available till the fall because we're still in it, and we're in that fight right now and making sure that our kids are getting access to that. But you will see that some of our iReady results we've seen iReady results raise from 24% at or above grade level for our mid-year to about 28% at or above grade level mid-year at this particular point. And we're currently, and that's where we're currently at in terms of CASP data right now. For the next piece, still focusing a little bit on the data, I wanted to make sure that because we do bring in our youth truth data to this because it's an important part of the conversation. We do need to make sure that we're always looking at the perceptions. We noticed that, and we learned today in a principal's meeting that when you see perception data, often perception data does follow our academic data as well. So it's important for us to be able to keep an eye on that as almost like a qualitative look at where we might be in the future, because you can see some trends with that. You will see that over 21-22, we have dropped a little bit in some areas. Youth truth profession, like in areas such as our engagement area, we did drop like from 2.79, which on a scale from 1 to 3, we dropped a little bit in that particular area. So it's one of those areas that shows us that we do have some work to do in engagement, professional development, and some other areas of this district. So what are we doing about it? Which I think is the bigger, more important portion of the conversation. So we've continued, and this year has been a strong year for standards-based grading. I know you've heard that from Ms. Thompson. She's been on it and making sure that we're talking about standards-based grading and talking about how we're going to be looking at how we're going to be assessing our students and being able to show what our students know. There's also pieces about enhancing our PLCs, our professional learning communities. This year, our administrators went through training through Corwin with PLC Plus to be able to really enhance the work that we're doing with our professional learning communities, hoping to see a significant amount of growth moving into the out years as we move forward. There's also a significant push towards bringing more adults into the classroom to be able to help in bringing some class sizes down, first of all, so not bringing class sizes down, but allowing for more adults in the classroom to support our learners with our MTSS paraeducators at the younger grade levels. And we've also have continued work with our tutoring assistants. We've had some problems had some issues throughout the year getting continued tutoring assistants from some of our sites, but we've been able to maintain some of our online pieces. And where we have seen tutoring take place, we've seen some good things happen. And also beginning to align standards and grading practices, because that's one of the most important things for us to be able to do to make sure that we're assessing our students on the standards that they are learning. So jumping into goal 2, our goal 2 talks about equitable learning practices, positive learning environments. In this particular area, this talks about suspensions and expulsion rates. We're still waiting. I don't want to report on that until we finish off the school year, because those numbers aren't going to be done for the next couple of days. I want to make sure we're on point with that to be able to have that conversation. And as well as we know that our dashboard is going to be providing us our LP when we hit into the fall. So there's a couple of areas in this particular goal that we can't report on just yet. But we do have some areas in which we do have currently where we're looking at our English learner reclassification, as well as some areas of our youth truth data that I'm going to jump into just real quickly. Pieces of our culture from our staff have been reported on through our youth truth data. And we've seen, again, a little bit of a drop in terms of our youth truth data. That's something that I want to make sure that we've That perception data is important to make sure that we're keeping a weathered eye on to see where we're sitting on a consistent year by year with this data, as well as the other formative pieces that we use throughout the year. But the question is what are we doing about equitable practices in Lancaster School District? So we know that multi-tiered systems of support is still something that we're focusing on. We actually have an MTSS training that we're going to be jumping into with our administrators and instructional leadership teams moving into the 23-24 school year. We're actually going to be doing that in the summer in June, as well as again in August, I believe in July or August when we come back from when we all get back from break, so that we can make sure that our teachers are ready to go with that particular piece of data moving forward. There's also equity training throughout Lancaster School District's Lancaster Learning Institute that Ms. Casey has been adamant about making sure that we've got on point. Jumping into goal 3, we talk about our safe and supportive environments. This is an area where we do see some areas chronically absent. Currently, we're at 38%. That's actually better than where we were at last year. I want to report on that particular piece because last year we were in our dashboard, we were at 48.3% of our students being chronically absent. We know that happened for a reason. Part of that reason was based on the policies that we had in place, that we had to have in place because of COVID and because of other areas. This year, we're seeing a little bit more of an increase in our students making sure that we're having positive attendance. But I would reiterate what Mr. Cohn has just said, we could do a little bit better. So this is some area where we believe, theory of action in Lancaster School District, if our students show up to school and we're able to have our students in the seats with our teachers, that we know that our kids will do better in school academically. So we see that's a linchpin that we need to really focus on. Attendance rates, we've actually gone up over the last year from 87.3% to about 89.85%. Still not where we want to be yet. We want to be around 95 to 96% is kind of like that attendance rate that we're trying to get to. We're going to get there, and I feel we get there as soon as we get there with a little bit of work. So what are we doing about it? Again, we've been utilizing creating systems to identify students who might be in danger of being or who are considered chronically absent. There's many things that we've actually put in place in order to support that work. We've got schools who go out and they go to homes and they go do home visits to go find our students. That's extremely important, and that's something that not all districts do. Playworks has been utilized at many school sites as well to be able to support kids and being able to make sure that there's a safe environment within the school system.
What is Playworks?
Playworks is actually like a structured play program. So what it does is it allows for our students to have like specific areas in which they play specific games. Right. So structured play is, structured play is a great thing. It's a great thing. As a former elementary school principal, it's an awesome thing. Jumping into goal 4, this is our family community engagement goal. This is where we talk about how are we going to involve our parents. And this is mostly based on perception data, because we have to keep, again, that eye on what are our families saying about us and what do they feel about us, as well as our staff in these pieces. Okay, I'm going to stay there for just one more second because I know some of you guys are going to be looking at that data a little bit, although we've already talked about it. So jumping into what are we doing about our data in terms of our youth truth pieces. We have family ambassadors who have supported families regarding various areas, the parenting partners training. There's wonderful trainings that happen at the school sites. We've seen some of you go to some of the graduations for some of those trainings. It's one of the most heartfelt things to see some of those families walk through those things. And one of the benefits to that is when students get to see their kids, when students get to see their parents graduate from something, that actually enhances the student's ability to achieve, or students' likelihood to achieve. Supporting families in danger of chronic absenteeism, securing family voice is huge. One of the things that we've really focused on is really being able to talk to our families. A couple of our Golden Apple Awards winners have been strong participants and loud participants in some of the meetings that we've had, and they're advocates for Lancaster School District and their school sites. Parenting Partners has continued at sites. We've continued work with Scholastic this year. We continue to work on trainings and keep on pushing things in those particular areas. Okay, this was new. So wait, there's more. Goal 5, Universal Transitional Kindergarten Goal. So this is going to change in 23, 24. And I've said this, we're going to be moving this goal into a different area because we want to split it up because we want it sustainable moving forward. And we don't want it to be wrapped into its own thing. We want it to be part of the whole picture. Because truth of the matter is UTK, Universal Transitional Kindergarten kids are Lancaster kids, and we need to make sure that they're in that particular place. So Miss Fountain is actually, or almost Dr. Fountain, is going to be talking a little bit more deeply about this moving forward. She actually has a presentation next week that's going to be, or the next time you meet, when the LCAP comes, when you actually see the LCAP. But you're going to see that she has done some significant work working with administrators at the beginning of the year, making sure the administrators were trained and were trained up for the work that they needed to do to be able to work in transitional kindergarten in this year. So again, she's going to be jumping into this more deeply, but a lot of the pieces that she's really focused on was administrative training that was provided to all site admin throughout the district in the summer of 2022, as well as staff having been trained to support play-based learning, because we know that Universal Transitional Kindergarten a little different than the kindergarten classes that we got. You look at a UTK class and you see kids playing, and that's how they learn at that young age. When we get into kindergarten, we're starting to transition them into more of a structured environment. So upcoming things that we have going on, building leadership capacity. One piece that we really need to, that we know we need to focus on this upcoming year. We've got some new administrators. We also want to build the leadership capacity of all of our people to make sure that they can do that good work, supporting the structures that we have. One of the pieces that we found from our needs assessment in terms of our parents was all of that ability, or that need for accountability at the school site. That's how we get that there, is through that particular, is building this up. And another huge piece, early literacy. If we can get our kids reading before they walk into third grade, and once they walk out of third grade, then we know that their ability to do well and possibly and definitely go to college is enhanced. We know that studies say that, research says that. Increased accountability for student outcomes, making sure that our school sites are working hard to make sure are doing the work in a way that is consistent and applicable to the ways that we have set out in the ways that we think that it'll work out. And also the continuous improvement cycle this year with our leaders, we're going to be focusing on our plan to study act cycles throughout the school year based upon specific areas in which we have identified as being high need for our schools. With that said, continuous improvement means that we never perceive current success as our final achievement. Something that we feel that there's always a way to get better at what we do, and we will continue to do that in Lancaster School District. We have the room to do it, and it's time for us to make that happen. So with that said, I leave this. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Whoa, there might be questions. Any questions? No questions. Man, you're confident we're not going to have questions. I like. No, we're good. I looked around. They're good. I wouldn't call it. Yeah, you're good. Thank you so much. You usually cover all the bases. And he did move pretty fast. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and do the addressing the board now, because I think we have some people that want to speak. So item 14 is addressing the board. We'll come back to item 12. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it to any supporting documents to the deputy superintendent or other district official prior to the start of the meeting. Personal information such as a student/parent/guardian's name, address, phone number, date of birth, email address, or other directory information as defined in Education Code 49061 may be excluded from the minutes of the meeting by submitting a written request to the superintendent. The board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once the item has been moved, seconded, and on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes per item shall be allowed. And that's per board bylaws 9322. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the posted agenda. And at this time, we'll go back to item 12, and this mic is hot. Okay, item 12.
You have to ask for the through and get a motion, get it to discussion, and then we'll open it up for.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If we can get it to a discussion, then we can open it up.
Right, so we need to do a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so on item 12, I need a motion. If anybody wants a motion. Motion by Pamela Starlson. Need a second?
Yeah, they're going to
Or,
address the
but we're
board
gonna
discussion.
go ahead. If anybody wants a second, we can have discussion on this item. Second by Diane Grooms. Okay, before we vote, we're going to have some discussion. I believe you have cards for this.
Yes. So we have a request to address the board in regards to item 12A. And so if Anita Love could come up. Allende. So my apologies.
You made a stab at it.
Allende.
You guys doing? My name is
Good, thank you.
Anita Love. How you doing? I'm kidding. My name is Allende Love. Nice to meet you all. I don't know if you guys know me or not. I am the campaign coordinator for Cancel the Contract. The reason why I am here today is because there is some disparities that are happening right now from the SRDs, which are the school resource deputies on the campuses right now. I'm not here to discuss like my opinions. I'm not here to discuss whether or not people like or dislike or like our personal stances on whether on how SRDs do inside the campus. What I am here to discuss is that the Office of Inspector General has conducted a thorough investigation on the numbers and how our students are policed. One of the things that they said from the director is that that constitutional policing should never result in racial disparities. And right now we're realizing or we're recognizing that there's a large amount of racial disparities that are taking place specifically within Lancaster schools. And that is with Black students and only Black students. Almost all engagements or interactions that happen with Black students inside of Lancaster schools result inside of an arrest. These things now contribute greatly to the school to prison pipeline. And these things are things that we must address from all of the positions that we have sworn to in order to protect the students that are here. So the way that we invest our money on these campuses is a reflection of how our value system lies. We have to then say what part of this is going to keep our students protected, and especially the ones that are most vulnerable. If we look at all of statistics that say learning disparities, literacy rates, anything that you want to point to, Black kids are at the lowest position. And we also know that it's very, very difficult to learn environments where you do not feel safe, where you do not feel comfortable. And those two things happen to mirror each other. So now we happen to know factual data that says Black kids are disproportionately impacted by the presence of SRDs.
45 seconds.
They are disproportionately harmed by the presence of SRDs, and their education levels are disproportionately dropping, and we don't know why, quote unquote. So now we have to be able to say, hey, who has the authority to make a difference here for these students, and who has the boldness to say, hey, because I now notice that these things are here, it's not an opinion,
20 seconds.
it is a fact. And because that fact has presented itself to me, and I have sworn to take care of these kids here, I have to do something about that. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware. We did present all of you guys with the data from the OIG, and I hope you guys take a look at that and then make the right decision from this point.
Thank you very much.
I do have a question. It's a clarification question. So the items that you've presented us here,
right,
said Lancaster students. This particular page says the high school district.
So yeah, so sorry, there's inside of the report in the OIG report, it's a separate packet, that one, yes.
So our elementary district is in this separated out.
Yes, the explanation, yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a request to address the board from Raquel. Help me out with the last name because I can't read it. Derfler. Thank you.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me? Okay. So my name is Raquel Derfler, and I
work with Allende. I am the co-chair of Cancel the Contract. So I'm going to continue kind of along the vein that he was going with. So basically, I want to talk about that despite widespread claims, there is little to no evidence that police in schools make a contribution to school safety or the prevention of violence. They do not stop or prevent mass shootings in school. There has been a school resource officer present at every mass shooting since and including Columbine. At Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, 376 members of law enforcement, including the school resource officer, failed to prevent the slaughter of 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers. Police in schools cause harm for Black and brown students. Over 80% of victims of police assault since 2011 have been Black students. Over 1/4 of those assaulted by police have been students with disabilities or students with mental health concerns. A significant number of police assaults were against students 8 years or younger. Over 60% of assaults on students resulted in serious injury with broken bones, hospitalizations, or concussions. 10% of cases involved sexual assault. Police face no consequences in nearly 60% of assault incidents on students, including the school resource officer who body slammed the female special needs student from Lancaster High School for the crime of not giving him her phone and walking away from him. A recent report from the Los Angeles Office of Inspector General about police in Lancaster schools revealed the following. In Lancaster schools only, Black students were contacted by law enforcement at a rate disproportionately higher in comparison to their percentage of school enrollment. There were only 2 instances out of a documented 812 school contacts in which school resource deputies indicated they referred a student to a diversion program. In Lancaster School, Black students were disproportionately arrested and cited. In one school district serviced by Lancaster Station, SRDs, Black students were arrested more than 86% of the time they were contacted by school resource deputies. Listening to and respecting students' input and leadership, the creation of engaging learning community and investment in health professionals, counselors, transformative and restorative justice practices is the way to create real school safety.
30 seconds.
Schools need to reject the myth that police improve school safety. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We have one more request to address the board, and that is Raylene. Racine.
0 for 3. I'm not any better, so sorry.
Good evening. My name is Racine. I also am a co-chair of Cancel the Contract. Falling behind my counterparts, a lot of things that we get notification about are some of the incidents that happen at these elementary schools, as well as middle school and high school. What concerned us today is that with all this data that's being shown, that the Lancaster Sheriff Department, you guys are asking for 3 more, a raise for the 3 deputies that you have here at your school, and a total amount of $719,986.54. We believe that that money can be directed in other directions to help our kids in these in our Lancaster School District, and that's for education. That is for giving alternative ways of coping with some of the issues that maybe these kids have in your school districts. From reading, maybe things are not well at home. Maybe counseling might be a need to step in, but the citations at the rate that they are, especially with the Black kids, is a problem. Black females are more at risk for adultification bias. An adult views a Black girl as more adult-like and less innocent than white girls. This is founded by the Georgetown Law Study. The attitude that these teachers and SRDs have towards Black kids should be a crime when failing to protect them. The adults think that Black girls as young as the age of 5 need less protecting and nurturing than their white peers, which shows that Black little girls and kids are routinely affected by this form of discrimination from the schools, the staff, the deputies, as well as the teachers. These adults have less empathy for Black girls than their counterparts. Nationally, Black girls are suspended more than 5 times as often than the white girls. The Black girls are 2.7% more time likely to be referred to the juvenile system, the juvenile justice system, than their white peers.
1 minute.
From a young kid says, I feel like as a teenager and as a youth, we still need to be protected. We still should be cared for and taught right from wrong. And it doesn't matter if we're Black or whatever. That's what a student says. That's her opinion and her view as being a student in the district. There's only 2 instances, as she stated, out of documented 812 that had a deferment program, a diversion program. That has to change. We have to give our kids an opportunity so they're not youth coming out of school straight into prison,
25 seconds.
from school to prison. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys?
If I could just make a clarifying point,
ahead.
there was some discussion on students being policed on our campuses and police in our schools. We have 22 schools. We have 3 resource officers. They are not in our schools daily. That's the only clarification I'd like to.
Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay. Item B, approval of amendment to agreement for Soylent Health. Moved by Diane, seconded by Dwayne. Questions, concerns, clarifications? Favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We have item 13, individual action items, human resources. We have item A, approval of a contract for Michael Davis as Assistant Superintendent, Human Resource Services. Moved by Diane Grooms. Second by Mr. Nguyen. Questions, clarifications? Mr. Conti?
Nothing to say tonight. We're just bringing this officially so that you can approve his contract.
Okay, we probably could do that. Let's just see. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Looks like he's got a contract. That's good.
Congratulations, Mike.
Okay. Mr. Conti's probably going to want to say something about this one, though. Item B, approval of principal.
Joseph Lamonaco.
Okay, and do I have a motion for Joseph? Motion by Dwayne Nguyen, second by Pamela Starlson. Question, go ahead.
Thank you. So Joe's been in our district since the beginning of this school year, but he's a 20-year educator and has 8 years of his administrative experience as both an assistant principal and a principal. He has, in addition to his administrative credential, he's got a single subject biology, single subject social studies, and multiple subject credential. In the letters of recommendation and when we spoke with people, the words they used to describe Joe are energetic, passionate, enthusiastic, knowledgeable, determined, and positive. And it's my pleasure to present him to you this evening for your approval for him as a principal in our district in the 23-24 school year.
All right, we should probably get a vote for it. Changes of mind. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Congratulations, Joe. You want to introduce anybody? Say any words? Thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay. We have item C, approval of provisional internship permit for the 2023-2024 school year. Need a motion. Moved by Diane Grooms. Second by Pamela Starlson. Questions, concerns, clarifications? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We have item D, approval of variable term waiver for the 2023-2024 school year. Anybody? Moved by Mr. Nguyen. Second by Mrs. Grooms. Questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, we have item E, C? What, did we miss something? A, B, C, D. I guess that E does come after D. Sure, still. Get up at 3 in the morning, things get kind of blurry. Approval of coordinator of teacher induction program job description. Moved by Mr. Nguyen, seconded by Mrs. Grooms. Questions, concerns, clarifications? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. All right, where the heck are we? Okay, we already did that, so we can do comments from PTA. It's our PTA lady. Did she leave? And she's going to get Dwayne a card. I talked to her. And CSCA. I don't say it, they'll be here. Tal. Nothing? Okay. Thank you, sir. Comments from the audience. We have any other cards? All right. There you
We
go.
have our wonderful ASB kids here today, so I'm going to start this off with Kaylin David.
We've been working diligently all year alongside the district equity team to create a positive change in our district dress code policy to reflect and respect the diverse students. Last year, New Vista students spoke to the equity team about the disproportionate applications of the current policy. They brought up how inequitable.
Can you bring the mic up closer to you? Sorry.
First time
So
someone
tall.
ever said that to me. They brought up how inequitable enforcement of the dress code didn't promote a positive or welcoming environment at school between staff and students. I'm proud to say that ASB leadership students around the district held high standards for safety, inclusivity, and respect for the learning environment. They focused on making revisions that value student backgrounds and experiences. The revised dress code also clarifies gray areas in the dress code about who is responsible for enforcing the dress code and what the appropriate response will be when a student is out of dress code. Knowing we are educators who are centering equity and inclusivity, the revised dress code specifies ed code that protects students from diverse cultural backgrounds and various identity groups. It keeps the focus of the dress code on a safe and welcoming school environment, ensuring a climate where teachers and students feel ready to learn. Another significant change you will see is the shift from disciplining students to providing corrective action. Our job as educators is to provide guidance and be role models, not to shame or punish students into compliance. We believe that shifting to a non-punitive approach to dress code will reinforce supportive, welcoming attitudes instead of judgmental, condescending approaches. A goal of our district is to promote positive school climate and healthy, supportive relationships between staff and students. We believe that the revision of the policy focus on those goals, specifically the one in our district mission about providing an inclusive and culturally respectful environment. Our district beliefs also say we believe all children have the right to a quality education in an environment free of racism and any other form of discrimination. Many parts of the revision help ensure that the policy is enforced fairly and without stereotyping our students. I want to publicly thank Dr. Marietti for believing in the value of student voice and for allowing all leadership ASB students across the district to have a voice in this process at the leadership conference in January and at our monthly ASB meetings after school. Thanks to Ms. Alicia Casey for ensuring the voices of staff, students, and administrators were heard and their input considered in revisions. And thank you to Dr. Jordan Goins for helping facilitate the thought exchanges so we had formal feedback about potential revisions. This has been a powerful learning opportunity for our students, and they're excited to see that their voices are heard and valued.
30 seconds.
So many important skills in this process, including self-advocacy, speaking and writing skills, critical thinking and diplomatic discussion, research and presentation skills, and even how to address conflict professionally. I truly hope the board looks at the revised policy on June 6th, fresh eyes and an open mind, keeping students and families at the center of all that we do. We thank you for your commitment to continuously improving our schools.
Thank you.
There we go.
Another one?
Yes. Cia Reyes.
Hi there. I am a mother of one of your second graders. She attends Westwind. I'm also a former teacher at New Vista and a colleague and buddy of Kaylin David, and I'm here to offer my support as both somebody who spent 10 years teaching in this district and middle schools, and also as somebody who is currently raising a fierce little 8-year-old girl. I want to give you a little bit more context and background to what these students have worked on in terms of changing the dress code policy for this district. It started on the year that we came back from distance learning. I was teaching 8th graders, and my students were constantly coming up into battle with the dress code policies. Sometimes it was as simple as my students showing their shoulders in 110-degree weather. Sometimes it was something as simple as they reached up to get something and a little bit of their belly showed. Time after time again, my students were expressing concern that they were being targeted for dress code policies. Now, research does show that dress code policies do overly target, much like police, students of color. And in the case of dress codes as well, oftentimes Black females are the ones to get overly sexualized and adultified. And so these are definitely issues that my students learned through their own research because they decided that just complaining about things was not enough. And so they started to do research. We as a class actually studied the district policy text as a primary source. Now, believe it or not, students are actually pretty able to have nuanced and sometimes conflicting conversations. They weren't like, let's throw the whole thing out. They were like, okay, that part actually makes a lot of sense. And then there were other parts where they were really concerned about. And so with their help and with Miss Casey and the equity team, I was able to bring these students, some of these students, to the equity team to make a presentation and voice some of their personal stories and concerns. I did since leave teaching and start a nonprofit, but Miss David and her students have continued this charge, and it's incredible what they're doing.
1 minute.
Glad that Mr. Marietti and Miss Casey continue to support these students and Dr. Goins. I just want to really offer my support in what they're going to present. It is a well thought out, well researched, very fair report. And my hope is that someday my daughter, who's going into 3rd grade, doesn't need to worry about whether or not her shoulders are showing. That's my hope, and I really hope you consider all the hard work that they've done. And just, I'm in awe of the students of this district, and I really applaud your moving towards involving their youth voice some more. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We did hear they are working hard. We heard good things.
Hey, Josue Alvarado.
Up just a little bit. Just pull the mic up just a hair, right? You got to pretty much eat that thing.
To be here to talk about the district dress code and to work on changing it. On the dress code we working on. We asked for one major thing, that teachers shouldn't be able to correct a dress code violation aloud during a lesson or in front of other students, because we want a great learning environment where students are safe from being shamed by their peers or staff. We changed the policy to give our students corrective action instead of punishing them, and giving them discipline. I would love to have the support of the board members having vote yes on the revised dress code policy.
Thank you.
Liliana Green.
Hi, I'm New Vista's ASB president. I was here previously in September to talk about dress codes. Since then, we've worked on a revised dress code with other middle schools. The current dress code enforces a manner that is targeting groups, and our improved dress code is inclusive to all. Also, our revised dress code makes students feel helped instead of threatened, because all we want is a positive environment. I'm so sorry. A positive environment for everyone. Even though I'm going to high school, I still care about the future for our middle school students, because we want them to feel safe on our campuses. Thank you for your time, and a special thank you to Dr. Marietti for letting Student Voice be a part of this process and making us feel heard.
Thank you. Definitely take that with you to high school, because they want to hear from kids too.
Mia Hernandez.
representative at New Vista Middle School. I would like to thank the board and Dr. Marietta for allowing us to be here today. I'm here to talk about our successful March Madness event. At March Madness, we had a few activities for the students and staff. There was a free throw contest where students had to pay Tiger Tenders to participate in the contest. We also had a basketball clinic for boys and girls basketball team to teach them new tricks and basketball strategies to help them become better and more confident in their basketball skills. All 3 grade levels participated in a student versus staff game, and the staff won each game. We had the cheer and dance teams perform at the halftime show. This was a school-wide event where all staff and students got to attend, bringing us closer together. The day of March Madness, there was no violence on campus. We have done March Madness for 2 years now. We are excited for year 3 of March Madness next year.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're rooting for the students for next year's to win.
And you talk to the risk manager about letting our teachers play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably a
Max
sign a waiver.
Max Rodriguez.
Middle School, I'd like to thank Superintendent Dr. Marietti for giving us the opportunity to help change the district dress code. I feel that with these changes to the district dress code, it will help students feel more comfortable to show who they are and dress in a way that best represents them. For a personal example, I like to wear sports gear such as sports caps, and it is a way that people or my friends get to know more about me. So as a student in the Lancaster School District, I ask for the board's support in voting yes for the change of the school dress code policy to make schools a more inclusive place on June 6th.
Thank you.
And our last speaker is, I believe it's Nathaniel.
So my name is Nathaniel Lida, and I am the New Vista Middle School treasurer. Before I begin, I would like to thank Dr. Marietti for giving us the opportunity to change within the school dress code. I'm honored to be here and making change for our school. I believe that the old dress code was not inclusive, and it was due for a change. I believe that the old dress code would not allow students to be who they are or what they believe. So a change that the students from New Vista Middle School proposed was a simple change that could allow the dress code to be fair to all students and allow people of diverse backgrounds to wear clothing representing their belief. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing how we could change the dress code. I can't wait to see the unanimous vote of yes on June 6th.
Thank you.
And our last speaker for the evening is Betsy Haslett.
Thank you, board, for 3 of you responding to my email that I sent out. This incident has not been the first incident where I know a business has been plagued by inappropriate behavior from students after school. The other place I know about is the Walgreens on 10th Street East and Avenue K, just up the street from 2 schools, New Vista and that school that took over the former Jack Northrop. It's the Fulton and Asbury Academy. The reason I know about it, it was not as a customer. I've been a licensed Medicare agent for a few years. I recently resigned from that this March. But there's the annual enrollment period from October 15th through December 7th. My upline and one of the companies has a kiosk during that time period. And I was over there twice a week. And in the afternoons, the store was beginning to close the doors. They had 2 sets of glass doors that said, keep unlocked during business hours. And they closed one set and then monitored the other one. Because before they started doing that, these students would come in after school, walking home, and just ransack the place. And there was one that was stealing. And I remember one day in particular, there was, I don't know what the ruckus was. The kiosk was right next to the entrance. So I saw this going on. Here I am, and there's the doors. A a deputy showed up. The car was outside. I could see it out in the street on the parking lot. And there were several school staff because they were wearing, I think it was orange vests, adults. They looked very authentic what they were doing, but a big ruckus had gone on. And it was after that where the store started closing the one set of doors and just monitoring the other set. And this went on for the entire 8 weeks that I was there, except for the Thanksgiving week when they're on break.
1 minute.
Thank you for your response. I heard about the loco parentis from a former teacher educator and about the schools being responsible from portal to portal from another teacher educator. That was just recently. The other one was some years ago, and I confirmed it doing a search online. So the basic thing is, with only 3 deputies for 22 schools,
30 seconds.
some of you just be men and go over there to these businesses, apologize, and tell the students, go back to the school, you can play there. And there was someone picking up a student in the parking lot at the gas station when I was there that day. I have no idea who it was, if it was a parent or not, but it's not a place. Please stand up, take your responsibility, portal to portal. Stop trying to pass the buck. That's what the response was I felt from all 3 of your responses. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
That concludes.
Okay. We'll move on to item 15, consent agenda items, superintendent items 15A through 15C. Anybody want a motion? Pamela? Seconded by Mr. Nguyen. Okay, questions, concerns, clarifications? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0, sorry. Item 16, consent agenda items, business items 16A through 16T. Anybody? Moved by Mrs. Grooms, second by Mrs. Tarleson. Questions, concerns, clarifications?
A lot of busy work this summer.
Yep. Anything, Dwayne? Go on. He says maybe.
We fortunately, we had 3 quality painters bid these jobs, and the way the numbers worked out, they each got 2. I believe their crews are about 25 to 30 people per school painting, so that to finish in 8 weeks, you need that many people. So we're feeling pretty good and confident that they can get started right after the conclusion of school that following week. We should have it done by the 1st of August.
And that's exteriors.
Correct.
Cranes in.
Those contracts are the beginning of the contracts for the rooftop units. Almost certainly will require a crane. I don't think we're looking at helicopter, only because the footprint of the school is not so big that a crane can't get them in. But yeah, those are really heavy units, and they'll usually crane them in.
I've seen them at one of the high schools, a couple of the high schools. So we can.
Dwayne wants to watch.
Hey, they parked the crane like two blocks away.
See what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
All right. Anything else? All right. Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item 17, I'm guessing. Consent agenda items, educational services, items 17A through 17C. How do you want to? Motion by Diane Grooms. Second by Pamela Starlson. Questions, concerns, clarifications?
They're looking to have a booth there so that they can get enrollment information, answer questions about that, should people be interested in learning more.
Just the EC.
It's an engagement, or EC, yeah,
But they'll be representing the district.
absolutely.
Any other questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Item 18, consent agenda items, human resource services, items 18A through 18F. Moved by Mrs. Grooms. Second by Mr. Nguyen. Questions, concerns, clarifications? None. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Item 19, consent agenda items, innovation and technology services, items 19A through 19B.
Moved.
Moved by Mrs. Grooms, second by Mrs. Tarleson. All in favor, or sorry, questions, concerns, clarifications? Shout outs?
PDQ.
Mind your PDQs
That
for
was
what?
pretty fun. So that's a software that allows us to manage our computers remotely. It will install updates. It will do security risk testing on it, and it will give us status reports. So it kind of just minimizes us having to go out and touch every computer. It allows us to do it from the office.
Is there any T functions and this could be one in your department that will allow us to turn off that is on?
Yeah, we have the ability to do that from our office.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Okay, we have legislative and policy discussion. We have the reading of first draft of strategic plan 2024 through 2026.
So this is a draft of the strategic plan. The strategic plan is what will guide the work of the district over the course of the next 3 years. During the COVID years, I believe the strategic plan expired. So we are bringing back the strategic plan. The strategic plan is going to focus around the same goals as our LCAP. So it's very much in line with our LCAP, and it'll drive the work we do over the course of the next 3 years in the areas of academics, in the areas of communication, school safety, equity, and fiscal stewardship. And so everything you'll find in the strategic plan is very specific on the work we're engaged in now and the work we will continue to be engaged in over the next 3 years. Each year, we can go back and we can update the strategic plan so that it's in line with the work we're doing. But we really want to be very explicit about what we're asking our employees to do, what we're asking our students to achieve. And so the strategic plan will guide us, blaze a trail, and lead the way for all the work we're going to be engaged in over the next 3 years. And so this is just a first reading for you to take a look at it. I hope that the board will provide input, and we've been working on input from all of our. They're not called stakeholders anymore. They're our community partners.
Thank you. All right, I guess at this point, we'll move on to comments from the board and superintendent. I guess we'll start with Mrs. Grooms today.
I want to thank everyone who spoke tonight. I really appreciate all the recognition of our Golden Apple recipients. That is truly the most important engagement that we can have in our schools as our parents. When kids see their parents involved and see other parents involved, they know that it's truly a community that is engaged in their success. And I just wanted to thank everyone for doing that recognition. It was great. And it was great to meet the Incredible Hulk. So thank you.
It really was.
In terms of the report back on school climate and safety, I feel this information, I really want to digest this information very carefully. We receive a monthly school deputy report that gives us a snapshot, but it's a very limited snapshot on what is their value on campus. And I'd like more in-depth information on that in the future, because I do believe that we need students involved in giving us advice about equitable treatment of students. Just as we have a group of students that's working on assessing our dress code policies, I feel it's equally important to have students involved in providing focus groups for us so that we can see how we can look at our policy through their eyes. And I think that would be an extremely valuable opportunity for us. I want to congratulate our new principal, Joseph Lamonaco, and glad to have him join our district with such a great resume. I do like the phrase that came out during some of our speakers, restorative justice. I'd like to explore that phrase more and see if we can get a better lens for our district and for on behalf of our students. Thank you also for the LPAC update, and I'm going to leave the rest for other folks. And glad to see the first draft of the strategic plan. I feel like we're getting back to normal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Starlson.
Should have sat right next to Diane. She said everything I needed to
Oh,
say.
dang, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So you did.
As far as I'd like to thank all of our Golden Apple recipients. I do think that that's also equally as important and valuable, and I don't feel like we could do anything that we do as a district without them. Mr. Goins, thank you for your LCAP update. It was efficient, it was detailed, very easy to understand and follow. So I look forward to what we're going to get into next year with that as well. I am very, very proud of each and every student that came in tonight that came to speak in front of the board in reference to their I can't think of it now.
Policy.
Their policy.
Dress code.
Their dress code policy. I think that it especially takes a lot of nerves and confidence in order to get up here and speak in front of us. And also for all the students just taking place and stepping up and getting involved in things that they want to see change. You know, so I can't wait to actually see what they bring forward as far as that's concerned. Same thing with this Inspector General report. It was quite interesting what they brought forth, and a lot of reports that we receive, I do see a lot of those numbers that are often reflected in our suspension rates and stuff like that. So it is most definitely something that we should at least take the time to look into and see what we can do to help benefit all of our students, so they're all being treated equally and having different options and not letting the rest be at the top of that. So.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nguyen.
Not too many things. Attendance. I know it's the end of the year and we're decreasing, but only by 3 from the last meeting and only 50 from last year, which I think is quite an achievement. And I'm hoping that the continued use of our billboards, I think we still have some of them up.
Yes, we have, I think they're all electronic. I think there's 6.
6. I hope that continues, and it's good to know that there's over 3,000 students pre-enrolled for next year. I think everybody can say that the Golden Apple Awards were fantastic. It's just so good to know that there's people in our district that continue to support the principals, the administration, the assistant superintendents, and our superintendent on a daily basis. So thank you very much. And I think that when you look at it, the teachers have to be thankful that we have these helpers, and hopefully in their classrooms, hopefully helping with the students that may need extra help. That's what has happened in our district for years. And And it's just good to know that they're here to do that. For Nayeli, thanks for the information on the number of reclass students. It is good to know we got 202, it sounds like, total. Jordan, thank you for your LCAP presentation. And to the students on the dress code, bring it on. Come on back June 6th, I think it is. And I think one of the requests from the board at one time, and I'm not sure who might have said it, might have been Diane, wear what you want us to approve. Let us see what you want us to accept.
Show and tell.
Show and tell. And understand that the whenever you're trying to impress someone, you're not going to go into them with some bareback and that. Not to say that it's not going to be okay at school. It's just that when you want to succeed, you should dress to succeed. And that's what we want at the Lancaster School District is successful students. Thank you.
That is true. Dr. Marietti.
Okay, I just want to acknowledge and recognize everybody, both today for the Golden Apple Awards and also at the retirement and recognition event that was held last week. I've never been in a district that has done such an outstanding job recognizing the great work that individuals do. And I also just want to make a point that the individuals that have been recognized over the past several weeks represent all the hardworking people that work for Lancaster School District and our community and our parents and everybody engaged in this work. So I just want to acknowledge them. I also want to thank the kids for coming out today. I love seeing students engaged because they can have strong debates and they do have amazing opinions and they can grasp concepts and say that's right and this can be changed. So love hearing their voices. And lastly, I just want to leave you with the Classified Employees Week, which is May 21st through May 27th. That will be recognizing our classified employees.
Okay, but we're still on Teacher Appreciation Week this week.
We're still there.
I know because my kids were signing thank you cards and my wife was buying gift cards for Dutch Brothers, I think. So yeah, spoiler alert, my kids' teachers are getting, Dutch Brothers but anyway, we just want them to know that they are appreciated. All of our Lancaster teachers are appreciated. All the time I've had kids in the district, we've never, ever had a bad teacher. We've always had great staff here, and that's why I've been on the board so long, because it's always been a fun place to be, and I appreciate all of our staff members. We've got great administrators, we got great teachers, we got great support staff, and it's really a team effort, and that's what I think makes it kind of unique here, that we're able to do all the right thing. We're all trying to do what's right for students. And I appreciated our speakers tonight. Everybody was, very respectful, and I especially enjoyed the kids. I really took heart to the student that said, it'd be nice if they didn't have to, call you out when they're doing a lesson or whatever. It's like, that's huge to a kid. Even my kids will say, well, you got to stay in front of, someone. It's like, because you're my child and that's what I do. But, when I step back and think like, what, maybe I could have done that a little different, but that's very meaningful dialogue with the students. And I appreciate that. And even our students, our group that came in about the sheriff's department, I could definitely, there's definitely some things we could do that could be different, but I've been a long supporter of the law enforcement. I remember when the deputies came in the schools when I was a kid, and that's what kind of made me want to be a deputy. I always thought it was really cool to be able to talk to them and have them there and be able to see how they worked. And I know quite a few of the deputies that are our group, and they love students. They want what's best for kids. So I hope that they can bring a positive outlook to our students, and I hope there is some kids that do have some bad experiences from either what they're taught with their parents, and I've encountered that, and sometimes you have to win them over, and I get that, and so I hope our deputies can do the job when they're on campus, and I know they're not everywhere at once, but I hope they can really impress upon our staff and students and our parents and all of our community that they're here for them. So with that, appreciate our Golden Apple recipients. I always think that's cool to be able to recognize our volunteers because they do a great job. I appreciated the DLAC and the LCAP updates. You know, we give Dr. Gawain's a hard time, but man, he does do a good job. And I think he's talking a hair slower. I'm not sure if it wasn't the clock, wasn't stressing him out, but he walked fast, but he didn't talk as fast. So I can appreciate that. And with that, I guess we can, we don't need to recess to a closed session, and we can just close out the meeting at 8:05. If I get a motion, got one. Any second by Pamela, motion by Dwayne. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. Have a good night.